Morning, welcome back, Allotment. It's Saturday afternoon now it is. Just been up the allotment doing a bit of pottering about. And the first thing I want to kick off with today is a follow-up from the last video with the little greenhouse heaters that I'm playing about with and trying to finesse. I had a comment from Steve at Digwell Greenfingers. Very knowledgeable man. And I've actually pinned the comment up at the top of there because in my stupidity I didn't actually mention about using a carbon monoxide monitor. Now, it should be common sense that whenever you're playing with anything that releases fuels, that you have a carbon monoxide monitor present in the area where you're burning fuels to protect yourself. So just a bit of a follow-up. I have mentioned this in previous videos around the generator, the diesel heater, etc. But I did forget to mention it in the last one, and it was picked up by Steve, and rightly so. Just to reiterate, if you're going to use any fuels at all in an enclosed area, get a carbon monoxide monitor. I have one in the shed. It wasn't on display, but I have one in the shed because of the diesel heater. I've got the diesel heater on now. I've got the carbon monoxide monitor up here. So I just want to say thanks very much to Steve for pointing that out. But common sense should prevail, and if you are going to follow anything that I do on this channel, if it involves burning fuels, then you should use a carbon monoxide monitor. It goes without saying. It's the #1 prerequisite. So thanks again for that, Steve. So I've got myself another little toy to play with, and I suffer with a bad back. I'm not sure whether other YouTubers do, but most gardeners do have a bad back at some point. And I sat and thought about how could I help with a bad back. Now I know when I get in the car and I put the heated seats on, it makes a massive difference to the pain in my back. So what did I do? I got myself this for the seat, and you can buy these quite readily on eBay, Amazon, wherever. This one has a heated back and a heated pad, and all I have is a little battery here hooked up with a cigarette lighter, and I've already tested this and it does work a treat. Now, it's not for all day use, but it will work, and because I have all the solar systems, I can constantly charge this. I've got the electric in here now. If I need to put the generator on and give it a boost, I can do that. But the thing is, I've got another one of these on charge while I use it. So it's as simple as putting that under the seat, and see if I can do this. Get the cigarette lighter socket from the end and plug it in. Right, let's bring you down a little bit, and hopefully you can see the red light on there now, which means we've got power. This one in particular also comes with a heat setting, and you can have it on high or low or off. So I'll switch it on high, and we'll take a seat. And in less than a minute, this will get lovely and toasty and on my back and help out the bad back. Now, it's just a simple setup, but I now have the diesel heater. I've got a heated seat when I need it, and of course I'm now playing around with the little homemade fires. I've got a couple of ideas in my head here on how we can extract the exhaust fumes and heat an element at the same time with these little makeshift heaters that I'm making. Now, an obvious point is the cost of the fuel, yes, They can actually burn on waste vegetable oil, but you'll need a bit of methylated spirits or bioethanol to get it started. Purely and simply because the oil needs to be heated, and once it travels down the wick and heats and warms the oil, it will then burn. So it will burn on vegetable oil and or even waste vegetable oil. It will probably, but I haven't tested it and probably won't test it, burn on even used engine oil. Now then, these are all just ideas I'm playing with, and I do all of these things at my own risk. What I do is not necessarily what you should do. I simply show you what I do. And if I make a mistake, I'll pay the consequences. So, a bit of a disclaimer. If you watch my videos, they're for entertainment purposes only. And if you decide to follow anything that I do, then use common sense and always get a carbon monoxide monitor. Right, I'm over in the treehouse. And I just want to show you the devastation that's happened in here. We need to get this thought out a bit better this year. So these are my citrus trees. And as you can see, they suffered really bad, both with condensation, but more importantly, the frost we got this year. And they're not looking very happy at all. They're still alive, but they're not looking very happy. They will recover. However, I've got them up here now, on a little bench, just for now. But what you'll notice with the mandarin, all the fruit got attacked, the leaves have been attacked with the frost, and all the fruit has gone mouldy. And you can see the mould growing on the fruit. Really bad. And all my fault because we didn't get them protected this year, and more importantly I wasn't ready for that frost spell that we got, or being prolonged. I have left these frosted before for a night or two and they've been fine, but this year we had it for quite a while, and although there are still some fruits on that look okay, they're absolutely shot. So all the fruit will be taken off these, the whole lot. I've already stripped the lemon down of all of its lemons. It's a shame, but there we go. There is actually a couple in here, although they don't look very appetising. They're still very firm. They smell absolutely delicious. And we probably could use the firmer ones. One or two of these ones have gone soft and soggy. They want separated. That's firm as well. In spite of how small that is, it's firm, and so is that one. I'm leaving them there basically because if they're doing nothing else, they're creating a lovely smell in here. We'll throw these ones in the compost. So what you'll see is now I've been having a bit of a tidy up. This peach tree's lost all its leaves, but you can see all the green stems. These actually tolerate winter much better than the citrus do, obviously. So the peach tree will be fine. And come February, that will be full of beautiful pink flowers, which will be the peaches. And hopefully this year, this one will as well. This one's completely shed all its leaves. You'll see I've got a bit of a piece of wood in there. That was to train the tree. I put that in last year actually, to train that branch out slightly. It was coming straight up alongside this one, and that's been in there just to train that branch. So what we've done is I come in to get the last of our onions basically. There's some really nice onions in there that have managed to avoid the frosts in here. Mainly because they're up off the ground, close to the ventilation in the door, so they've actually done okay. However, we're left with just a few small ones here, and these are all pretty small, but what you'd call a medium. Still got all of this garlic, which we're not going to use, and that's the worst of it. The rest has all been planted. We've got a few more little onions here. And I was going to put them in the compost bin, but I've changed my mind. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to plant them in these beds in here. I can't do anything outside, it's horrendous again as usual. So I'm going to plant all these onions in here. Not the garlic, but I am going to plant the onions. Because rather than compost them, we might as well put them in here. And even if we take them early and just get a nice green onion, then, because there's every possibility they will bolt, of course, especially in here. Now, although onions like a lot of moisture, which is what this bed is like, they don't like it too wet, and a lot of the time when you have really wet beds is where you start with your white rot. So if you, in comparison from here back and round, you can see it's that wet. We've even got moss growing on here, and hence the reason why I put a load of perlite in here for to raise these citrus trees out of it. And the reason this bed is this wet is because when we get the heavy rains, it comes pouring down here, builds up as a puddle and finds its way in here, and just by capillary action it completely soaks this. So I need to put a channel in here next year to divert the water away, or should I say this year when the weather picks up. So I've lifted these up here now to get some air at them, and you can see the tag blowing about there. And I've cracked these windows open on the first notch to air out, to try and get rid of some of the damp in here. So we've got this airflow here, we've got the window open down there, we've got the gap at the bottom of the door, and we've got this now. So I'll have to be careful if we get the frosts again and come and close these up. But that'll get the air through these now, and then we'll get them all trimmed up, get all the old tarty fruit off there that's no good, and let them get on for next year. So today I'm just going to be planting these onions, take the best of them, get them all planted in here, and anything we get out will be a bonus. 4 o'clock now and it's starting to get dark. So we've got the onions in and we've watered them. There's 56 in total. I haven't put in any in round the back, and I've now pulled this lemon tree out of here. I'm going to repot this. If it's suffering really bad, we might be able to save it. I'm going to repot it. I'm going to put it in a pot again with some really dry compost and see if we can get it to come back. So we've got about 56 onions in here, and when these do start to show, I'll then put a few more in that little patch there where we've pulled out the lemon tree, orange tree. And yeah, so we've gone right up to here. There's 56 onions in there. Cleared all the back bench with anything that's to go in the compost. There's all my strings for this year with this year's crop, and that's what I have left. And I've checked them all, they're all hard and good, and they're all going to go in as well, but outside in one of the beds. So I better go and get this little tree planted up down here before it dies altogether, and then I'm going to make my way down home. Right, so we've got this done as well. We've ripped all the leaves off it with the exception of 4 or 5, and even these aren't too clever, but we'll have to leave it with something to photosynthesize. So what I've done is I've basically put it into one of these spent potato compost bins that we had stacked up here. They were a complete failure, but that was frost as well. So what I've done is I've basically put it in here, and it's almost, well, it's wet, it's damp. It's just how citrus trees like it. But more importantly, I've shook all the old soggy, you can see the wet patch on the stem here. I've shook all of the soggy soil off and basically let it dry out in here, and then I can gently water it as it starts to recover, if it does. So not a great deal, the weather's atrocious as I say, but it's another job, isn't it? We had a bit of a tidy up in here, got 56 onions planted, hopefully rescued that little tree, got these into some fresh air now with the windows open. I'm going to leave these open, and hopefully these will start to pick up. I've still got all the fruits to pick off these, and all of these to trim back, and we may do that tomorrow. Another little job I got done today is I actually got this fence fixed back up again. Yes, it's not perfect, but considering the weather's miserable, I've basically got the post that had snapped screwed back up again, and although that's lopsided, we'll straighten that up another day when it's a bit warmer. I've just put these posts and I've screwed them into the post now, just so that if we get any gales coming in this way from the east, it will at least give it some form of support until I can get it done correctly. Right, as you can see, it's almost pitch black in the shed. Got the kettle on. I'm just using the gas cooker this time. The generator's been turned off a long time. Couple of productive little jobs done today, that's the main thing. Got that fence fixed up, which is a bit of a bonus, and cleared down the polytunnel a bit, replanted the lemon tree, orange tree, and got 56 onions planted rather than wasting and composting. Sorted out some more good ones. We've got about another 20 there, maybe 30. We can put them in the beds at a later date. So I'm itching to get going again with the garden, but the weather's just absolutely horrendous up here, especially in the north. So this kettle's just about to boil, so I'm going to sign off. I just want to say again, thanks for watching. Thanks for all your likes, comments, dislikes, subscriptions and your donations. If it's your first time here, think about hitting that subscribe button, little bell icon, select all. That'll alert you every time I put up a new video. As always, wherever you are in the world, please stay safe and be practical. Keep yourselves out of harm's way. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.